Welcome back into Daily Insider. Stephanie Otey here. Guys, it's a rough morning for me after both of my covers did not cover. I was taking the underdogs. Obviously, that did not work in my favor. So let's see if we can get back on track. I have Jim Root joining me today. You've seen him on the show before. You've seen him at Pickwise, Second Chance Points. Great to have you back.
It's great to be back. I'm usually college basketball, but now that the season's over, I get to dive headfirst in the NBA playoffs. Been watching as much basketball as possible. I can't quit the sport. So you keep giving me basketball, I'm going to keep watching.
See, I'm one of those fandom people who likes to jump into college hoops in March after the Super Bowl's over and then NBA playoffs. It's a great way it's all structured. But before we get into NBA, we do have to settle something in college hoops. The fandom, okay? Who is the worst fan? I couldn't really get much feedback on. I think it was kind of give and take. Who do you think was worse? Putting the flag down on your own team. They got a new coach. So, hey, now you can be back on track.
Yes.
Or me, Michigan State's not necessarily a rivalry in the Big Ten, but me not rooting for Ohio State for hoops. I'd like to see him win, but I just didn't have the belief in them. So
I'm going to say you're the worst fan. How about
what?
that?
I thought you would even choose yourself.
No, I was silent protesting. I wasn't actively well,
you were on the show with a flag upside down behind you.
I know. And the flag is now right side up back in my home in Las Vegas. But yeah, unfortunately I'm not there right now, but it is right side up. I kept my word. We got a new coach. Dennis Gates has done an awesome job overturning the roster. So I'm optimistic now. You're cheering for rivals, Stephanie. That breaks my heart to see.
It's good for the conference.
I guess.
I mean, Ohio State hoops is very unreliable. I'd like to see them win. I get excited when they do. But if I'm talking about a team that I should be, honestly, even as of late, I can't rely on Izzo and late into I mean, at least the past couple of years, I feel more confident betting against him now just because of the trend it was in. But I still have more faith in Michigan State than I do Ohio State when it comes to college basketball.
It's sad, but it's true at this point. The postseason has not been kind to the Buckeyes. And in your defense, I will say, when the Big Ten does win, not only does it help the conference, it helps Ohio State directly because of the way the payout system is structured in the NCAA. Exactly. So maybe
we got him covered in football. Can someone else step up in another sport here? Just like completely lopsided SEC on the other hand, where they had one team go to the Sweet 16 in basketball, but like every team is great in football. So
maybe we've gotten to the point where I was the worst fan. Yeah, we talked around it, and fine, you win. You win.
All right, thank you. I'm glad I'm on this one. Did not win last night. I had more faith in the Mavs. They were doing good in the first half. It completely slipped away in the second. And then, of course, we were talking about it right before we hit the air. 76ers were the team I really liked. Embiid, I was really hot on him. I really like the James Harden trade. And now that Embiid is out, it changes things. He could get back in for game 3, game 4. They're saying he's pacing towards being okay on Friday. Obviously, we don't have games Thursday, but just looking at the way the series is playing out so far without Embiid, like I said, I think it makes the case for him to be MVP just because of how this team is doing without him. I keep trying to push the confidence in Embiid deserve the MVP. So how do you think they stand right now as it is?
Yeah, it's trouble for them because I was kind of with you. I thought maybe the underdog was the spot last night, honestly, in both games. But then both fourth quarters really ran away. The favorite kind of took care of business. And especially in this Miami-Philly series, without Embiid, it feels like Philly has to play Miami's game where it's like the spread out, really guard heavy, play a little more up tempo, get out in transition. And Miami's just so deep. Like even without Kyle Lowry right now, the way Oladipo's stepping up, the way Max Strus has been playing, they're just better at that style of play. If you get Embiid back in there, maybe that shifts things. He is such a monster in the paint. You can play a little more through him in the half court. Bam is a great defender, but he's smaller than Embiid. He just is. So that forces doubles, maybe sets up some open shots. And I know the on-off numbers for when Embiid and Harden play together are way better than any other setting for the Sixers, whether it's Embiid alone or Harden alone, or of course, neither of them on the court. So getting him back, I think that would be monstrous for the Sixers. And look, they haven't lost at home yet, so the series is not over if they can get him back.
Yeah, just looking at how both teams are against the spread, Miami 11-13 in their last 14 games, Sixers 1-4 in their last 5. That does include games without Embiid. But looking at the way the odds are right now, do you think it'd be smart to get in there with Sixers +1.5 in the event Embiid gets in there and the odds completely change later on?
Yeah, it might be worth the look. And this angle has been so profitable for years of the team down 2-0 playing at home,
Mhm.
especially in the first quarter and the first half. I believe entering the playoffs this year over the last 5 seasons, it was 34-12-1 to bet
Mm.
on the home team. But the books have definitely adjusted to it. I know +1.5 is what we're seeing for the full game for the Sixers, but they're a favorite in the first half. Like that shows you how the line has shifted, how the books have adjusted. They are trying to battle against that trend and take away the value, which they ultimately seems like they have. That trend was only 3 and 4 last year, so it's starting to evaporate. But yeah, if you get Embiid back in there, just think that changes things. And without Lowry still likely out with his hamstring issue for Miami, Philly's definitely found something with Tyrese Maxey. He's been a
Mhm.
star. So you add that to what Harden can bring and what Embiid can hopefully bring coming back from his concussion and the orbital fracture. I kind of do lean Philly here in Game 3.
Yeah, Tyrese Maxey, he's been doing good. Led the team, is leading the team this series, 18 points, 48.6 field goal percentage after scoring 34 in game 2. I agree with you there. But if you were to make an early prediction right here, if Embiid is back in, where do you think the line would go? Or even if it's for game 4 potentially, where do you
I'm
think
gonna
the line
guess,
moves?
yeah, I'm gonna guess he'd be worth like 2.5, maybe 3. So it'd flip over to Sixers -1, -1.5. I think that's generally what we've seen for like the true all stars. Like I think Luca was worth about 3 when he got back in the lineup against the Jazz,
Mhm.
and some of the smaller role players like Marcus Smart when he was out against the Bucks was only worth 1 to the line. So 3 seems about fair for an MVP candidate.
And then a little bit of something that's questionable and could be hard to bet on is Doc Rivers and the questionable lineup he had, especially in game 1. Do you think he's going to lose his job, and does that contribute to any side you take and how unquestionable he can be?
I don't think he loses his job. I don't know. I guess I haven't read the tea leaves too much on that. But the fact that Embiid's been out gives him such an excuse. I don't want to say to hide behind, but like you can bring that up as, we don't know how things would have gone if I had my two superstars. Look at the numbers when they play together. So perhaps that'll be the saving grace behind it if they do kind of go out meekly in 4 or 5 games here. But yeah, it's a huge coaching edge for Miami. Spoelstra's been awesome for years, dating going all the back to when they had the big three with LeBron and Wade and Bosh, and he's kept it up through the seasons. And this team isn't as top end talented as that LeBron team, but they're still the number 1 seed in the East. So clearly he's pulled the right strings. He's not even playing their $55 million wing, Duncan Robinson. He just has found a rotation that works without it. So yeah, Miami, definitely the coaching edge. I think really the main thing working for Philly here is the desperation of being down 2-0.
And when you don't have James Harden stepping up when you need him to, that becomes a factor as well. I think it's a hot prop to take is just keep betting Harden unders. And he's played 29 games with the Sixers. He has 0 games with 20 shot attempts. He's just
Wow.
not taking shots,
Wow.
especially when Embiid is out and he needs to step up. So I think that's a trend I definitely will jump on. I
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing where you'd think without Embiid, he'd start taking 25, really getting a ton of step backs up there. But especially against Miami, who has just like wave after wave of guys to throw at him. I mean, Butler, there's plenty off the bench.
yeah.
It just they have size, they have quickness, they can really change looks and make it challenging for him. Yeah, I think that's probably a trend worth following. I can't believe he hasn't taken that many in a single game with them, especially
Especially
now that
when
Embiid's out.
especially when Embiid is out. That
Yeah.
so either way it goes, I still not even one game with more 20 shot attempts.
Yeah, it's gonna have to happen at some point. Like you need that
I feel like it
35
should
and
have.
10 game from Harden. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it should have at least when Embiid is out in a
Yep.
series against the Heat. But both games on Friday have home underdogs. Mavs are going to be home dogs against the Suns. They're +1.5 right now. Again, looked good in the first half. It slipped away. I tried to stay up for it, and I was like, the last time I went to bed early during a Mavs game, I woke up and like I was 2 for 2. So I was like, all right, so let's keep it hot. I'm not gonna watch it and then it'll go well. No, did not work for me. So where do you think this one's going? They're back at home.
Yeah, what you missed last night was a really cruel
Glad
exhibit
I missed
against
it.
Luka Doncic's defense. The Suns basically just kept taking turns, going at Doncic, making him play defense between Paul, between Booker, it's just tough for Doncic to keep up with them. And Phoenix is more than willing to pick on your worst defender and take advantage of that. And they did it over and over last night. So now looking at Friday, again, this is like the Miami Philly series where the home team's down 2-0. You have that desperation angle. Dallas did play with them for, almost 3 quarters last night before fourth quarter just got completely out of hand. This one, though, I'm leaning towards Phoenix. I just think they have found their stride as the number 1 team in the league. Booker clearly looks healthy. That hamstring seems to be in the past for him. And Mikal Bridges has been an absolute monster, especially offensively. He's given them some added scoring. He's getting some assists. Like some of the drop-off passes he had last night to Ayton were really impressive for a guy that's not known for that. So just the way Phoenix is clicking right now, I don't think Dallas has enough to keep up with them.
Yeah, I just think that they're going to win one of these games eventually. It's going to be at home. Dallas is still 5-2 against the spread. They've lost now 11 straight games against the Suns. So a win's got to come eventually. I think game 3 is a good spot. They're down 2 back at home. But do you think this series will be a sweep in 4 games for the Suns?
I'll go gentleman's sweep. I'll say they get the game 4. Yeah, just
a good way to put it. It's very
classy.
kind.
Yeah. I think Phoenix gets them here in game 3, but then game 4, maybe get the back against the wall performance, a monster like 45 Luka game. And it's hard to close teams out in the NBA, especially a team as good as the Mavs. Then back home, game 5, I kind of see Phoenix it's not going to get past that game 5. At least that's the way I've seen it up to this point, given the way that Booker's playing and the way Phoenix is really zeroing in on Luka, making him guard, which saps his effectiveness offensively too. So pretty good strategy there from Monty Williams.
Yeah, Luka, he's just carrying the team. Scored 35 points in game 2 after 45 in the series opener. Brunson was great in the first round, only 9 points in game 2. So when you look at the way the Suns are, their whole team is shooting lights out, 64.5 from the field. I mean, how can the Mavs stop them, and how can they put up more points? I mean, it's pretty much just Luka shooting right now.
Yeah, they got to find something. Brunson especially needs to be that second creator, like he was in the first round. When Luka was out, he was having monster games. And I saw somebody joke on Twitter that's like, well, he doesn't have Donovan Mitchell to treat as his personal turnstile anymore, which felt kind of cruel to Donovan Mitchell's defense, but maybe ultimately it's correct. There's no weak link in this perimeter defense for Phoenix. There's nobody to pick on between Bridges, Paul, and Booker. All those guys compete really hard on that end. Paul's the only one that doesn't have size, but he's got that veteran guile. He's feisty. He plays really physically, kind of stretches the rules with the way he guards defensively. So that's been tough for Brunson. He's a smaller guy. He doesn't have like typical explosion for a perimeter creator, and finding ways to get into the paint consistently has not been as easy as it was against the Jazz for him. So yeah, the Mavs, they got to find something fast. And last night they had foul trouble for both Brunson and Finney-Smith early. That takes out 2 of their key pieces, both on both ends of the floor. So avoiding foul trouble, I think, will be huge. Maybe they get a friendlier whistle in this one, Steph, with Mark Cuban at home. I'm sure he'll be making the case to the officials. But that's the thing. Looking at it late last night, I just everything that Phoenix did to score late was repeatable, and that's what scares me for them.
Yeah, I think Brunson needs to step up. Dinwiddie, he was efficient. He was 3 for 10, 11 points off the bench. Kleber didn't make a single 3-pointer. So if you look to a guy other than Brunson, who could be an X factor here? Who could step up and help Luka with a supporting cast and compete with the Suns? Because when you have Booker putting up 30 points, Chris Paul putting up 28, come on, someone's got to be a little bit closer to Luka and give him some support here.
Yeah, I think it's Dinwiddie because he does have the ability to create his own shot, but also create for others. And he's got more size than Brunson, so perhaps he's not as frustrated by some of these rangier defenders that they can throw at him. It just kind of felt like, I don't know if it's from a carryover from the first series where he took the backseat to Brunson. He hasn't been as assertive, only taking 10 shots last night. I'd like to see a little more out of him, especially in a game where Brunson was really limited by foul trouble. So I'd like to see Dinwiddie kind of carry the torch and give Luka a little bit of a playmaking breather. So Dinwiddie's the guy. We're looking at that angle. I think he's got to step up.
I'm curious, how did you take the Mavs in their first series? Kind of an unexpected explosion without Luka. I got hot on them, and now I'm tipping down. But I know what the Suns got going for them. So
Yeah, I was impressed by the Mavs. At some point, I thought it was maybe a little bit about the Jazz too, and the fact
mhm.
that that core, the Gobert Mitchell core, seemed to have run its course a little bit. They were sloppy defensively in the first round. The Jazz were. They gave up a lot of open threes off of just poor rotations, and I think Dallas is seeing that they're playing a much better defense. It's maybe a slight transition to Saturday here, but this is what Boston ran into going from Brooklyn's defense to Milwaukee's defense. Uh, it's tougher. A team that guards and is really connected defensively, creating really quality shots is difficult. And I think Dallas has had a problem with that against Phoenix, unlike what they did against a kind of lackluster Utah defense.
All right. Well, since you mentioned the Saturday games, quite different on Saturday. You have some home field advantage really being pointed out by Vegas here. Milwaukee, they struggled in that second game. Now they're favored here, looking to bounce back. But both of these teams, great shooting performances with 3 wins to go. Which one do you think will settle the series right here and stretch out to be 2-1?
I'm liking Milwaukee at home. You look at the shooting splits from those first 2 games. Both teams shot around their average in game 1, and the Bucks won by double digits. Second game, Boston made 23s at like a 45% clip, and Milwaukee was 3 for 18 from deep. They got outscored by 51 from the 3-point line. That is bad news. And I know a little bit of that is by design for the way Milwaukee guards. They give up a ton of threes. They kind of dare your bad shooters to make them. And credit to the Celtics, man. Their shooters knocked them down, especially in the first half of that game, jumped out to that massive lead. Game was pretty much over at that point, even with Milwaukee trying to fight back. But back home, I think the Bucks role players will play better. I think the Celtics role players will maybe take a little bit of a drop off. So I'm leaning towards the Bucks there as that short favorite. Also kind of like the under. Neither game has even hit 200 points so far in this series. Both defenses are excellent. The number keeps coming down. The total, it's down to 212.5 here, but I still think the under is a good look with the way these teams can guard each other.
Yeah, fairly low unders in Friday's games too. But without Chris Middleton, I feel like we haven't seen a role player really fill his shoes. Who do you think could step into that position?
I'm hoping it'll be some combination of Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez. I think Grayson Allen was terrific against the Bulls, but he kind of gets picked on by this Boston offense. When Allen's out there defensively, they really take advantage of him in a way that the Bulls couldn't. So the Bucks kind of jumbo lineup that they're starting with Lopez, Giannis, and Portis, I think you need those big guys to make some plays, whether it's knocking down threes with Portis or matching up with the smaller guys he's going to get on him and taking them into the post. I think they need a little bit of an offensive boost from those guys. And you look back last year in the Eastern Conference Finals when Giannis missed 2 games, Lopez was a total monster, just a huge game 5 against Atlanta. I think you got to hope for something similar from him here. Maybe the spacing's not going to be there so much, but the first game, what worked really well for Milwaukee was Giannis passing. And Boston maybe didn't help quite as strongly in game 2, and that frustrated him, and he wasn't able to finish inside. So Milwaukee does need to find some sets that get those role players open shots, especially now that they're back home and you get the crowd on your side. And usually that does lift role players here in the NBA.
Yeah, game 1, it was basically Milwaukee's defense dominated in the paint, and then game 2 was just the Celtics offense just popped off. So interesting to see where it really falls in game 3. Giannis, though, I look at his props. I usually like to take overs with him. Through 2 games, though, he scored 52 total points, but he's just 20 of 52 shooting from the field. So I don't see his props available just yet, but do you think that it'd be smart to continue with his over or no?
I wouldn't take his points over. I would maybe look at some of the PRA stuff with if you want assists, or I think you want assists in there because of the way Boston's going to try to defend him. In the second half against Boston in game 2, he did seem to find something a little bit. He had 23 points on 9 of 15 shooting, which 9 of 15 compared to what he'd done in the first 3 halves is a revelation for him. You mentioned the shooting percentage. It's well below what he normally does, both at the rim and on jump shots. So I think you need the assists in there because back to that first game, like I said, the Milwaukee offensive success came from him drawing doubles and hitting the right guy. And I think that will be something that the Bucks will see on film and they'll return to for game 3. So if you're looking to bet some of those Giannis overs, make sure it includes assists. If it's points, I would probably points by itself. I'd probably lean towards the under.
I usually like the buffer there too. This is the one series I think could get to a game 7. I'm with you. You're from Wisconsin. I love the Bucks. I don't want that to tie into which side I go because I did not see them sweeping the Nets, the Celtics sweeping the Nets at all. That one really surprised me. So I don't want the Celtics to school me again. Who do you think wins the series and in how many games?
At this point, I probably am at Celtics in 7, just because they're at home there. I like you said,
Bad
I'm from
fandom.
Milwaukee. I am a huge Bucks fan. I don't know if I'm trying to be like anti-biased here, but
Right.
yeah, I do think the the sustainability of the Celtics offense is a little shaky right now. This series in 2 games, the Bucks have 88 paint points and the Celtics have 44. Like it is a complete dominance inside. So it really does come down to the Celtics knocking down enough jump shots, but they get a decent amount of open ones. They have some guys that can make those shots, unlike the Bulls last round. And like I said, I think that home court advantage in Game 7 is going to matter. So I think that's where we end up, and the Celtics win a close one. It's going to be a great game, a great series. But unless I see Milwaukee look really good in both of these home games, I think Celtics in 7 is where I stand right now.
Do you think it'll be like your opinion will change on how these 3 and 4 games play out?
It could potentially, if Milwaukee really takes care of business and continues the paint dominance the way they've had so far, and actually starts knocking down a little bit of threes from the perimeter, maybe I'll kind of start to lean towards Milwaukee. And I know Zach Lowe at the beginning of the series for ESPN had mentioned that the Middleton out for the entire series is a little premature. So maybe we get, Middleton coming in for game 6 or 7 late in this series. I would say I'm betting against it. I doubt he does, but it's something to keep an eye on just because that report was intriguing enough that maybe we do see a Middleton appearance here.
Yeah, that would change things a lot too. I'm with you. I think I have to go Celtics just because of how much it burned me in the first series. But I don't know. My gut's like, don't deny the Bucks. I mean, we saw it last year. Even when
Reigning champs.
yeah, I mean, especially when the Suns were up. Chris Paul was even the MVP favorite at that time for the finals, and Giannis completely flipped the script. So maybe his shooting will get back on track. He's taking the shots. So I'm gonna go with you. I'm not gonna take points over because I just usually like to do that. But I'm gonna yeah. You've convinced me otherwise. But I got to go with my gut. I'm going with your home team, Milwaukee. But I'm prepared. Actually, connect with me on game 6 and we'll see.
Okay.
Okay. Final game on Saturday, Grizzlies and Warriors. Grizzlies right now, they're an underdog on the road by 6.5. This one is a tied series too. Another one that the home team is the favorite. Do you think that will come into play here?
Yeah, I do. I really like watching game 2 and the way Golden State shot the ball. It was just awful. I think they were 7 of 38 from beyond the arc for a team that has Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson. That's shocking. Klay was really bad. I mean, none of his misses were really even close. There's some air balls, some shots that hit the backboard first. I think them getting back home will have some influence as well here. The big point I've seen made about this, especially this series, the death lineup, as people are calling it for the Warriors, that'd be Draymond, Wiggins, and then Poole, Curry, and Thompson, has been awful defensively. Like they cannot guard Ja Morant. They can't figure out how to keep him in front. Obviously, he had that complete explosion in game 2. I believe it was 47, 8, and 8. Just got into the lane at will. So, Golden State's got to figure out a way to stop him. But I think we see the 3-point explosion from the Warriors that we've seen in the past where, especially like they were known for their third quarters where Klay and Steph would completely explode. I think we're going to get one of those here back in the Bay.
Yeah, both of these teams have some killer shooters. The total's at 226.5. I like the offense on both sides, but do you think it could go over 222? Oh my gosh, you know what I said.
226.5. We're fine. I actually kind of like the over here. Yeah. Last game only had, I believe, like 208 or 207 was the final total, but there were a ton of possessions, like over 100. And it just was poor shooting for Golden State. Like I said, 7 for 38 from deep is so uncharacteristic for them. I think we see something more like 16 of 38 in this game. And that would obviously push the total way over. I mentioned, I think Golden State's still having a lot of trouble stopping Ja Morant, and you take out Gary Payton, who is definitely an under player from the sense that he's a great defender, not an awesome offensive player. Now he's out 3 to 5 weeks with that fractured elbow. Dylan Brooks is probably going to be suspended for this one after for that foul for the flagrant. And I think that helps the over a little bit because he's a quality wing defender. So between the personnel and the shooting regression I expect to come, I'm looking at the over here between these two.
And looking at props, Ja Morant had probably one of the best performances in the playoffs so far in that game too. 47 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals. Looking at some prop combinations for him, I mean, which way would you go in this one?
Probably overs. I just think without Peyton, that's the best guy that can really lock him down one-on-one. And we saw them just repeatedly seek out, most of the time, Jordan Poole, a little bit Steph Curry too, but they were running pick and rolls to get the switch where Morant was then guarded by Poole or Curry, the weaker defenders, smaller defenders for that Golden State team. And he was putting them on skates. I know there was a viral clip about maybe he had a carry late in that game, got his palm under the ball.
Yep.
Yeah. So perhaps he gets called for that once or twice in this one as they respond to that clip. But I don't think that's going to stop him from getting into paint at will again. So maybe he won't score as efficiently. Those floaters might not go down as automatically as they did last game, but he'll get in there, he'll score, and he'll kick out for open threes. So I think the points and assists will be pretty high for him once again.
Mm-hmm. And so for game 3, looking at the spread there, I mean, it's been a close one in the last game. Steph Curry and Klay Thomas, though, they didn't get off to an early start. They're getting out of the gate fast. Do you think they can turn around in this game? Because I think whoever wins the first half will end up winning the second half.
Yeah, it's scary to lay over a touchdown, or I guess right about 6.5 with them. They were a road favorite, 2.5. So that number does it feels a bit big, but because I'm kind of expecting that shooting explosion to come, I lean towards the favorite here. I think we get like the monster home Warriors. They remind everybody like, hey, this is the team you fell in love with last round that is a big challenger to the Suns in the Western Conference. So yeah, I'm leaning towards the favorite there. I haven't bet it yet. I'm kind of waiting to see how I feel on game day, but in order, I would like the over and then the favorite between those two.
Yeah, I like that. I might look into props. Like I like Ja Morant's props, especially with his main defender and Brooks being out. But looking at this one, I think the 6.5, I'd feel more confident taking Grizzlies to cover. I think Warriors will end up winning it. But when you look at all of the games this weekend, and I obviously lost my underdogs yesterday and the teams I chose to cover, if you had to choose one underdog to pull off the upset, who would you go with?
One underdog. I guess it feels like a cop out, but I'm gonna go with Philadelphia. They're only +1, so they're barely an underdog right now. And if Embiid plays, they might flip over to the favorite. But that's the team. They're down 2-0 in their series. They're without their potential MVP candidate right now. So I'm gonna say the Sixers are the one I expect to beat that spread and get the win outright.
And how is your projections for the end? Like any futures you have they changed since getting to this point in the playoffs?
A little. I really wanted a Warriors to win the West ticket right before the playoffs, and I didn't get to the sportsbook that had the best price, so I don't have it. I wish I could say I had the 5-1, but I do not. But at this point, without Peyton potentially missing the entire Western Conference Finals as well, I'm kind of leaning back towards the Suns and Booker being fully healthy. I just really liked what I saw from them in the fourth quarter last night. So I think I still expect we will get that Suns versus Warriors series in the Western Conference Finals, but whereas maybe before I would have seen it as like a coin flip or even lean towards the Warriors, I'm back towards the Suns there. And in the East, I think Miami comes out. I've just been really, really impressed with them. They'll get Lowry back and obviously have a big lead already. And they're a team that I think can solve what Boston or even Miami or Milwaukee can do. So I guess I'm kind of talking myself into a Heat Suns flaming basketball logo finals right now. That's where we end up.
Yeah, I took the Warriors at the All-Star break. I really liked the way Steph Curry was doing, and then things completely went off, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm going towards Suns. So I kind of lucked out by default. I wasn't hot on them after they went through that bad stretch. So I have it there, but I was hotter on the Suns as of now. But I flipped my opinion very quickly after the All-Star break when I went with Warriors. So I do have that in my back pocket. East is a completely different story. I was so hot on the Sixers. I really liked the run they were going on. The way they've been playing without Embiid is just crumbling before my eyes. So
Yeah,
the East is tough for me. I really don't want the Celtics to school me again. That's just I was every single game I'm like, now the Nets will win. No, and it was a sweep. It was the only sweep of the playoffs so far. So I don't want to get schooled again. So I might take the Celtics just because of that, because I'm bitter about it. And they're just playing good. But I think whoever comes out of that series between the Bucks and the Celtics will end up winning the East.
I hope so.
I have no I love the Bucks. It was just I still am rooting for the Sixers just because I have been the whole second half of the season. But I'm losing confidence now.
Yeah. And yeah, the Embiid thing changed it. Like I think if Embiid's healthy this whole series, you could say any of these 4 teams could come out. But now Miami has such a clear edge in the series with the 2-0 lead. We don't know if he'll be healthy coming back for 3 and 4. So yeah, I guess you're probably making a decent case for Boston, Milwaukee. And I know people last year said Milwaukee, Brooklyn in the conference semis was the finals in a way.
Oh, that was such a great, the way it finished.
Yep. So
I fell to the floor. I fell to the floor on when it went into overtime there. I thought he got a 3.
So did I. I was, as a Bucks fan, I was heartbroken. I was at the Circa Sportsbook in Vegas.
He knew he didn't. And doesn't he wear like a size large of shoes?
Yeah, they're like 17s or
something.
It's absurd.
He purposely wears like a full foot size or a full shoe size bigger. So maybe that could have given you a little bit more of an edge when it comes to the line there. But yeah, I'm with you out west. East is just I'm really questioning my picks here. Yeah. So to finish it out, who do you have winning the finals altogether?
I will say the Suns over Phoenix in 6. Well, that'll be my official prediction for now.
See, I like the Suns in the finals.
Oh, Suns in Miami. I'm sorry. I think I said.
Yeah, you said
that's tough to do.
Beat themselves. Yeah. But I just don't think that they can pull it off again. I know they're hungry, but the way things shifted so drastically for Chris Paul, that probably deterred me from having them win it all. But I think it'll be a 7-game series. I'm not with you on the Heat though, but hey, maybe I'll be proven wrong like I was with the Celtics. And then I'd be happy that the Celtics didn't close it out because then I feel justified.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so maybe we have one debate lingering, but I think we agreed on turning the flag upside down was worst fandom.
Yeah, that was disrespectful. I'll be better. I will be better. I had to have it upside down when they were losing games by like 35 to their arch rivals. So maybe by the end of the year, they'd earned flipping it back up right side up. But now they've got it. It's going to be right side up all next season. That's what I'll say.
Mm-hmm. And I know we touched on it a little bit. I don't know if you've looked into it yet. I have to get into it. It's a new space for me to get into, but the Kentucky Derby. Have you looked into it all? Are you looking at any horses?
I haven't yet. I've got a horse guy that handicaps it. So I got to talk to him, get on the line with him over the next couple of days.
That's so interesting. You have a horse. Like, do you have any other guys? Like that's my like auto guy. That's
my horse guy is also my boxing guy because he's from the 1920s and those are his 2 favorite sports. But then I think that's probably the most specific guys I have. But I'm very excited to see what he has to say because he's treated me well in the past with his Derby winners.
Are you getting into this Formula One?
I haven't yet. I'm
hearing so much about it from like even my non-sports friends, like they're talking Formula One. I'm like, where is this hype coming from? I got to get on board.
My issue is when I get into something, I have to know everything about it.
Yes.
And so if I get into F1, I have to know every driver, every car type, every like adjustment they make on the cars. And then do I have the brain space for that? That's the debate. I got to figure that out. So I'll probably at some point here in the college basketball offseason end up tuning into Drive to Survive on the Netflix show. And then who knows? I'll probably be off the deep end and all the way into F1. But
I
right
haven't
now,
watched that show
I'm
yet.
resisting.
Have you watched the show? I haven't watched it yet.
I have not yet.
Yeah, I think that must be where the fandom is coming from.
That's the gateway
Like,
drug.
y'all
Yep.
aren't like a NASCAR fan. You're getting into Formula One, but it's getting bigger in the States. So
Yep.
I might jump on board there. But hey, thank you so much for joining me, talking some more basketball, NBA, and we'll see where our college teams fall next year.
Yes, we will.
Much better on both ends.
Yep. No, pleasure. Thank you for having me on. Excited to see how these 4 series play out. But go Bucks from the heart. Go Bucks.
I agree. My heart says Bucks. My like second half fandom of Sixers. Don't even make me choose because I feel the Bucks would win it. But like they won it last year, and Giannis is like, I think he's the king of the NBA. I love the moment where he's like sitting back, historical. Like that was yes. Like the coolest moment. Were you in Milwaukee at the time?
I was. I went to game 4 of the finals, and then game 6. I didn't spring for it, but I was at a bar in downtown Milwaukee and then roamed the city and made scenes. I was part of the scenes in downtown Milwaukee.
Okay, because I will say, because I have a friend that plays for the Bucks, and the parade afterwards, I was like, that is sick. And any of my friends from Milwaukee, I'm like, you got it. I don't even care if you like basketball at all. You need to go. That is great for your city. And then I was in Atlanta for the World Series parade, and I was very let down by it. Was very not over the top. Like I think the Bucks went like all out, like crazy. I feel like Atlanta was a little too tame. And I was like, guys, come on. Like it's been over 50 years. Come on. Yeah. And then their college football team just won the national championship. I was like, come on, let's get aboard.
They're too used to winning. They're too used to winning. That's the problem, But yeah, Milwaukee hadn't won in 50 years, and it's a city known for drinking beer. There were many beers consumed over the celebration there.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have a like I know in Chicago they have the 312. Do you guys have a Milwaukee beer?
It's just Miller. I think that's the big one.
Midwest.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm from Ohio, and I get that.
There we go.
Literally, like the college drink just never dies.
No, not for me. Certainly not for me.
Yeah, my cousin, he's from Dallas, and we kept buying Miller Lite because we thought he loved it, but he just kept drinking it because it's around. So we're like, all right, we got to get Parker more Miller Lite, and really, it's because it's just there. Guys, I really don't like it. It's just what's there. So
yeah. Hey, if it's there, you drink it. That's the way to go.
Yeah, if it wasn't so easily accessible. But thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited to see how these playoffs play out and see who wins this East like chaos, basically. I can't figure out who's going to come out on top. So I'm excited to see how the East plays out.
Agreed. Thank you for having me.
Yep. Thank you so much. And we will be back on tomorrow talking the Kentucky Derby. Join us. We're going to put on some Derby attire just to play the part. Maybe we'll sip on some mint juleps and we'll have a great Friday. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Good luck with your bets, and we will see you next time.